Right, good morning. I'm ready if you're ready.
Then needs to go. Then he needs to call complainant's first name or Mr. Nicola.
Morning. Deline Muller.
Do you have any objection in taking this oath?
I don't have an objection now.
Do you say that evidence about the police that you were partially investment for police officers or not when it says about?
So help me God. Muller.
Mrs. Muller, can I ask you to please tell us what you do for a living?
Sorry, I don't hear quite well here.
Can you hear me now? Is that all right?
No, it's still very soft.
I'll try and speak up. Is that better?
That's better. Thanks.
Can I ask what you do for a living?
Well, I am a teacher.
And where are you based?
We live in Frankfurt in the Eastern Free State.
And can you describe where you live?
We live on a farm about 6-7 kilometers out of town.
Could you tell us about the incident in which you had people arrive at your farm unannounced?
Do you want the whole story?
Yes.
We were invited to supper with friends on the Saturday evening. It was the 23rd of September 2017. We had a braai and we just visited there. And we got home quite late. We got home around about 12:30 in the night, which means it was the 24th of September already. When we arrived at home, there was basically nothing wrong. The dogs came to the gate. There was nobody inside the yard, nobody inside the house, so we went in. And at a stage, I realized that the vehicles were still outside, and I went to the room and told my husband that he must just go put the cars in the garage so that we can close the doors, switch off the lights, and go to bed. So he did that, and at some other stage while he was outside, I was in the kitchen. I heard a terrible noise, and I couldn't understand what it was. So I looked out of the kitchen door, which leads to the scullery, and I saw him at the door that leads outside, pushing somebody out of the door, and I immediately realized that there were people that were not supposed to be there, and he was trying to keep them out of the house. So I just turned around, ran to the room, opened the safe, because I wanted to get my revolver. While I was going to the bedroom, I heard 2 more shots. As I was taking the revolver out of the safe, there was this man standing next to me with a gun in his hand, and he asked me, can I just say that when he stood next to me, I realized that my husband must have been shot, because otherwise he would have come into the house. Anyway, so he asked me, where's the money? And I said to him, we do not have money in the house. So he said to me, I will shoot you. And I replied by saying, he'll have to shoot me because we don't have money in the house, but we are standing in front of the safe, and the safe is open. He must have a look for himself, which he then did. So he looked inside the safe, and there wasn't any money in there. And the next moment, my son came to my room. I don't know why he came. Later he told me that he actually just came to see if I was all right. And then this man just said, he didn't speak a lot, he just said, come. So he pointed my son and myself down the corridor. He looked inside my son's room. I don't know what he was looking for there, but he didn't see anything that he liked. So we went down the passage to the spare bedroom. He looked inside there, and he turned around, and we had to go back to our bedroom. Once we were back in the bedroom, I saw the remote of the alarm, which I put there when we came in that, earlier in that night. Must I go on from there? We went back to the bedroom.
And just a little slower and a little louder.
Okay, so we went back to the bedroom, and then I saw the remote of the alarm that I put on my dressing table earlier when we came in, and I realized I had to get to that remote. So what happened was he then looked into the safe again, and I took my chance to walk the 2 or 3 steps to the dressing table. I picked up the alarm and the remote, and as I picked it up, he turned around, and I thought he saw me. But when he didn't ask for whatever is in my hand, and I had the chance, I pressed the panic button. As soon as I pressed the panic button, the alarm went off, and he had a fright, so he ran outside. I heard him say something in a language that I don't understand, and I realized there must have been somebody else outside. So we heard them drive away with my husband's pickup truck. At that point, I just closed the doors, and I told my children that we're going to wait for help to arrive before we go outside, even though I realized that my husband must have been shot and don't know whether he was still alive or whether he was dead. Then the alarm company phoned, and while I was on the phone with them, my son phoned the police, and I also phoned my father-in-law. I phoned the hospital. All those kind of things that you need to do. Then the police arrived, and then I went outside, saw that my husband was actually still alive, but I didn't realize how serious or the damage was. What the damage was that the gunshot did to him. I asked the police to help me or to take my husband to the hospital, and they said they couldn't. But shortly after that, friends of ours arrived, and that man helped me he took my husband to the hospital that we have in town. And that is basically what happened.
Can you tell me where your husband was shot?
He was shot in the head. The bullet entered him just above, more or less here, above the right eye, and it came out here on the left side of his neck.
And can you tell me what happened after he was taken to hospital?
Look, we have a wonderful hospital in Frankfurt, but they can only do certain things there. We haven't got life supporting machines or whatever else you need. So the matron there said we needed to transport him somewhere to a bigger hospital, so we decided to take him to Bethlehem. We waited for an ambulance, but that took too long, so we eventually drove him with her car to Bethlehem, to Hoogland Clinic. It's sort of a mediclinic that they have there. Where they did a scan. It must have been about 5:30 in the morning, and then the doctor there came to me. He said they did a brain scan. There doesn't seem to be any brain damage, but they would like to transport him to an even bigger hospital. So later that Sunday, he was transported to the mediclinic in Bloemfontein, where he was treated by a neurosurgeon, and
And how long did the treatment take?
Look, he was in hospital for about 2 weeks because he needed an operation, but the guy that did that does the nose and the ears and the sinuses and those kind of things, and the neurosurgeon had to be in the theater at the same time, and they could only manage their times 2 weeks after he was taken to hospital there in Bloemfontein. So 2 weeks after the incident, he was operated on, and then he was in hospital for another week before he came back to Frankfurt.
And were there any after effects on your husband from a physical level?
Look, it was after that, not really. He was just very weak, so we couldn't initially go back to the farm. We had to stay in town, so we stayed with my parents-in-law for about 3 months before he was strong enough and well enough to go back to our own house on the farm.
And were there any emotional, psychological after effects?
When we eventually went back to the farm, he said it almost felt for him as if that wasn't his place. It wasn't his house, and I think it must have been a shock, whatever. But it didn't last too long. So the children and I, although we were very aware of what was going on, and we made sure that there's nothing out of place when we go back home. Other than that, we coped quite fine.
Can you tell me how old your son was at the time of the incident?
That happened about a week and a half before his 16th birthday.
And what was his reaction to the incident?
Look, both children were also shocked and scared, but they actually managed to get over it quite well. And I think it has to do with the fact that we weren't physically harmed.
And can you tell me how you felt during the incident?
During the incident, I was scared, because it's an awful situation to be in. Somebody pointing a gun at you, you don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to shoot? Is he not going to shoot? Whatever, because you can't read his mind. So it's very scary.
And were there any after effects for you on an emotional or psychological level?
No. What I do is I talk to myself a lot. So no, I also cope quite well with it. Although ever since then till this day, I'm very aware of what's going on around me, which was not necessarily the case before the incident.
Can you tell me a bit about what the farm produces?
The main source of income is a dairy. Other than that, we have a dairy. And we have a few sheep and a few other cows in the field. Ever since that incident, my husband's renting out part of the farm, but a little bit of corn, but not much. The farm's not that big.
My Lord, I have no further questions.
As the court pleases, good morning, my lord. Good morning, Mrs. Mola.
Good morning.
First things first, I do believe your version. And the second point is to apologize to you and your husband. It can't be easy sitting here having to narrate that story. I apologize for that. And the point of my questions to you are not to discredit your version, but just to merely understand the context of the attack. Do you perhaps know the motive behind the attack that you've just narrated to the court?
We heard that the motive for the attack was that they came for money. Can I just explain to you? We have a butchery in town.
Yes.
And what I'm saying now is hearsay, but apparently they got information from somebody else who worked on the farm whenever, I still don't know who that person is, that we have a butchery in town and that we take the money from town to the farm.
Yes.
Which is not the case. We don't do that. But that's the story that they heard, and that's what they came for, was for money.
Yes. So I suppose in short your answer is you believe the motive for the attack was robbery.
Yes.
I have no further questions for the witness, Your Lordship. Thank you, Ms. Miller.
My lord, I have no questions on re-examination. My lord, I beg leave to call the complainant's second lay witness, Mr. Duncan Prinsloo. My lord, Mr. Prinsloo would like to take the affirmation. The affirmation.
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you. My full name is John Duncan, and my surname is Prinsloo, and I'm born on the 24th of the 12th, 1947. That is correct, yes. Thank you, my lord. That is so. That is correct.
Mr. Prinsloo, you're welcome to take off your mask. Mr. Prinsloo, if I could ask you to tell me... Mr. Prinsloo, if I can ask you to tell us what your occupation is.
My lord, I am a veterinary surgeon and a farmer.
And can you tell me about the nature of the work that you do?
Yes, I am in a practice with my son, and we specialize in advanced reproductive techniques in the large animals, the cattle and horses, where we do embryo transfers and micromanipulation of the embryos, freezing of semen.
And how long have you been doing this work for?
My lord, I graduated in 1972, and ever since 1982, I have been practicing as a specialist veterinarian.
And who are your clients typically?
Well, my clients are the top group of the farming community, in other words, the stud breeders. And these techniques that we specialize in are specifically used for multiplying the top genetic material that the breeder has in his herd.
Can you tell me about the incident in which you were attacked?
My lord, it happened on the 20th of November 2008. I went to work in Natal that day and got back quite late in the evening, and my wife was sitting watching television, and we had a bit of a chat about the day, and I said that I want to go to bed a little early because I was very tired. I drove all the way to Dundee in the morning and all the way back, plus the day's work, so I was quite exhausted. And my wife didn't tell me that my youngest daughter went out with her brother, my son, and that she was actually sitting up waiting for them. But yes, I went to bed, and the next thing that I experienced was that 3 men crashed through our bedroom door, which was a door. Crashed, yes, through the door because it was locked, my lord. Three men. Sorry. Excuse me. And my wife had obviously in the meantime come to bed, and we both sat up in bed, and the next minute a shot went off, and I was on my way out of the bed to try and defend us when the shot went off, and my wife just collapsed forward. I thought that she was that she had just fainted, and then I felt that I couldn't move. My legs were just tingling, and then I realized that the shot must have gone through my spinal cord, and yes, then I just sat in the bed, and the three men in the room, actually fairly young, I would call them youngsters, between the age of 17 and 18. They asked me if I had money, and my reply was that we never kept money at the home, and the only money that I had was the bit that was in my pocket, the bit that you use during the day. And then they came and they grabbed me by the arms, and they dragged me out of bed so that I can show them where the money was. And I still thought that my wife had just fainted. I'm sorry, my Lord, but then
Duncan, would you like some water?
I'm fine. Then they dragged me to our walk-in cupboard and dress room, or what you call it, with a bath and toilet, and I sat there, and they were pulling off the clothes off the shelves to see if they could find any other money. I gave them the bit that I had, and I sat there, and history has taught us that, the people are tortured when they come and attack you on the farm, and I was worried about my wife, what they were going to do to her. But then I realized that I'm a child of God, and that I needed to call on the name of the Lord, and I did, and I said, Jesus, help me, please. And when I said the third Jesus, these people were out of my house. But I actually got a fright, and I thought they'd gone downstairs to my daughter's room. She was in grade 11 at that stage, and I dragged myself on my elbows to get to my firearm that was near the bed, and I thought that they would come back, and I had the firearm ready. But then when they didn't come back, I drag myself on my elbows to the staircase that went down to my daughter's room, and I called her and asked her if she was okay, and she replied that she was fine. And I realized that those men were out of my house, and I asked her to please come and help her mom and help me, because at that stage I was getting tremendous spasms of my muscles in my stomach and in my back. And I said to her to phone her brother so that he could come and give me an injection just to halt the pain. And then I was just taken to hospital.
And can you tell me what happened when you were taken to hospital?
Yes, I arrived at the hospital, and they immediately took x-rays and said that I was shot through my 10th thoracic vertebra, and that the bullet had half injured my spinal cord, and that I would never be able to walk again. And then that was when I got the news that my wife was actually dead. So yeah, I might just spend my time in rehab and recovered to the extent where I could at least walk with 2 crutches after 6 weeks in the hospital.
Can I ask you, what after effects have you felt since the attack?
My Lord, it's very difficult to really explain, because your whole world has crumbled in 1 second. You've lost your wife, you've lost your mobility, my children were so traumatized that my eldest daughter decided they were going to immigrate to Australia, and they left. And the trauma, one can't. It's difficult to really, I think, convey what you feel afterwards. And
How long have you experienced the trauma for since the incident?
My Lord, I am very thankful that, because I am a Christian, I could forgive the people that did this. But even though you have forgiven, you can never really erase what you have experienced. And as I say, I have enjoyed my work so much that it really was an extreme loss for me to not be able to function at the level that I used to function. I'm still working, but obviously I'm very limited to what I can do.
What was your relationship like with the community at large before the attack?
Pardon, just repeat.
What was your relationship like with the community at large in your area before the attack?
My Lord, I have and still got a very good relationship with the community. In fact, that I still have requests to come and assist with cattle that are sick or can't calve, and the community was extremely upset about the whole thing because they really love me. I'm very fortunate in that I can speak Zulu fluently, and of course the community respects me for that, and I've always had a very good relationship with the community.
Do you have a response when you hear parties like the EFF singing songs like Dibulu Bunu or Shoot the Boer or Kiss the Boer or Shoot to Kill?
My Lord, yes. You know, what upsets me, first of all, is just that to remember what happened. But secondly, the thing that upsets me is that these people eat and live off the food that is produced by the farmer in this country. And they can jump and jive on the energy of that food that they have and that they get from the farmer, yet they can jump and shout. But my Lord, I want to stress this, that it is the youngsters that are influenced by these things. As I said, the people that attacked us were 3 young men. In fact, if I wasn't shot and disabled, I would have seen it fit to tackle them barehanded, because the 3 of them could hardly lift me out of bed. They dragged me by my arms. So, but it's the young people that are affected by this and that follow that example and that think that that's the right thing to do. That is very upsetting.
How do you personally feel when you hear those songs?
Pardon?
What personal feelings do you have when you hear
Well,
those
as I say, my personal feelings are just a reminder of what I have lost because of this. Yes, my Lord, it's, you know, it's, we had planned so many things for us, for our because I wasn't very far from retirement, and I had a good marriage, and we had planned, and everything just disappeared in that 1 second. People ask me how things are going. I'm living from day to day. I'm in constant pain because of the injury. I can't enjoy any of the things that I used to enjoy. It's taken away my whole life. So that's the feeling that I get when I see things. I'm reminded of what I have lost.
My Lord, I have no further questions.
Excuse me. Sawubona baba Prince.
Sawubona baba.
Unjani?
Ngiyaphila. Ngizwa kuwe.
Ngiyaphila nami baba, ngiyabonga.
Hawe.
I'm not going to keep you for long. I'm just going to ask you 3 questions just so I understand the context of the testimony you've just given. So when counsel for the complainant asked you about your views when allegedly one of the respondents in this matter, Mr. Julius Malema, allegedly sings the song Kill the Boer. Your response to that question was, these people can jump and jive from the food they get from the farm. The question is, who is these people?
My Lord, I've seen on television people, young men, singing the song and carrying on. Those are the people that I am talking of.
Do you want to perhaps describe them to me?
Pardon?
Do you want to describe who these young people you're talking about? Do you want to describe them to me? So when you watch television and you see them sing, who do you see?
Well, it's young black boys, Your Honor.
So these people are young black boys.
Correct, yes, my Lord.
And then you say, presumably referring to the same group of people, you say they follow the example of the song. Is that so?
That is correct, yes.
How do we know this, Mr. Prinsloo?
My Lord, I am expressing what has happened to me during my attack. It was young men that attacked us in our house.
Yes, but my question is more nuanced. I'm asking you, how do you know that your attackers were influenced by the song?
Well, I don't know, but
No, of course you don't.
I presume.
Yes, of course you don't know. Let's go back to your testimony. You say the assailants asked for money, did you not?
That is correct, yes.
And after you had given them the little that you had, they ransacked your house, not so?
My Lord, yes, they they didn't ransack the whole house. They looked for more money in my clothes, in the dressing room.
Yes. So on the basis of that evidence, the logical conclusion for the motive of the attack must have been robbery. Is it not so?
My Lord, I didn't include this in what I said because I didn't want to elaborate too much on the attack. But later on, it was found that the lady that helped us and cleaned the clinic occasionally came up to our house and assisted our housemaid to clean the windows, and she had seen where the key was kept to the safety door, and she had given these people the key to the safety door. When she was confronted, she then received there was a camera taken from the house as well, and she was later on caught. Well, not her, but a friend of her son's was caught with a camera, and eventually it came down to her, and they arrested her. And the reason she she said that these people actually forced her to give them the key because they said they were asked to attack us so that we could leave the farm. Please, my Lord, can you just repeat that?
I also lost you in the midst.
Yes.
Just that way you say she was confronted by these people. They then forced her to give the key.
Yes. That is correct, my Lord.
Mr. Prinsloo, do you remember what my question was to you?
Pardon?
Do you remember what my question was to you?
Yeah. My Lord, yes, it was about the entry or the actual reason for the people that attacked, or what you want to call it, us. You asked the reason for that.
Okay. Let me phrase this question again. Let me just take you through your evidence first. You say the assailants asked for money, and then you gave them the little that you had. They were not satisfied with what you gave them, and so they dragged you looking for more money. That was your evidence, correct?
No, that is not correct. They dragged me, they asked me for the money. I told them that it was in my clothes, and they dragged me to the room where the dressing room where my clothes was. They took that money that was in my clothes, and then they pulled out some of my clothes on the cupboards as well.
Okay. Now, purely on that, we'll get to the new evidence that you've just given us, which you did not give in chief. We'll deal with that in a moment. Let's just deal with that aspect for now. Purely based on that version, the logical conclusion must be the motive behind the attack was to rob you, is it not?
Well, I can't speak for their motive. I just find it difficult to believe that if it was to rob, that they didn't really look for more and ask for the safe keys so I'm not very sure if it was just to rob, because then they didn't do a very good job of that.
But surely, Mr. Prinsloo, on the basis of the version we're dealing with now, the whole issue about them looking for money specifically, absent any other evidence, because you've given no other evidence, and we're going to deal with the second part just now, which is the new evidence, just purely on the issue of the money, absent any other evidence, you must accept on the basis of your version that the intention was to rob.
My Lord, I don't agree, because initially when they entered our room, they just shot. And then, well, as I said, my wife was dead, I wasn't dead. And then only after that did they ask if we had any money. So I can't really say that I really feel that it was purely to rob. Okay. Then they would have come in and they would have said, well, right, you just don't move, you don't do anything, where's the money? But in this case, they just came in and they shot to kill. So how do I interpret that?
Yeah. No, fair enough. Let me cut to the chase. There is no evidence that you've given that suggests that the attack was racially motivated, is there?
Was racially
motivated?
Yes. No, racially, definitely, I don't think so. But yes, we're on the farm, and we are Afrikaans speaking. We are farmers. So
the answer is what? No, there's no evidence.
I can't say it was racially motivated.
Yeah. Let's take it a step further. There is no evidence, given what you've told us today, that suggests that the assailants were specifically motivated by singing of the song "Kiss the Boer." Is there?
No, my Lord, I suppose there isn't.
Now let's deal with the the new evidence that you've now led under cross-examination for the first time. You tell this court that it was found out later, subsequent to the attack, that the lady that used to help you with cleaning of the windows had seen where the key to the safe was kept. Is that so?
That is so.
And then when confronted with video footage, she was arrested, correct?
Confronted with?
With the video evidence from the camera, she was arrested.
No, it wasn't video evidence on a camera. It was that she possessed the camera that was also removed from the house.
Yes. And you say that she said, and again you refer to them as these people for whatever reason. You keep calling them these people. Anyway, you say she said these people forced her to give him the key. In other words, the assailants asked for the key. Is that the version?
My lord, that is correct, and I don't know how I should otherwise describe. It's the people that attacked us. So that is why I say these people. I don't know how I should otherwise describe them.
No, sure. So I'm making reference to this evidence because I said I would. But in light of this evidence, it still does not change your initial concession, which is there's no evidence, one, that this was racially motivated, correct?
Correct, yes.
Notwithstanding this new version you've given me, there's still no evidence to suggest that the assailants were motivated by the singing of the song Kiss the Boy. Is that so?
My lord, I can't say for sure that that was the motivation, but yeah, that is my perception.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prince. I have no further questions for the witness, my lord.
Mr. Prince, just for clarity's sake, it stated that after the person who helped with the cleaning was arrested for having possession of a camera, she'd stated that she was told that the reason why the attackers attacked you was to make you leave the farm. Is it correct that that was your prior evidence?
My lord, that was correct. That was what they had told her, and they actually, as I say, forced her. How I'm not very sure because I wasn't at the court hearing, but that is what I heard. They said that she was actually forced to give them a way of entering into our house, and she then knew where the key was, so she took the key and gave that to them, and that when she was found with a camera, which was about 2 years after the incident, she said that she was forced to do this, and that their reason was that they wanted us off the farm.
My lord, there are no further questions on re-examination.
You say that you will not assume that there was a case out of the incident?
My lord, yes, after they found that she had the camera that was missing, there was a court case for her
charge
to
her.
explain where she had got the camera.
Yes. And this information about the camera and what was said to her by the attackers, that's information you got from someone else who was at the court, because you say you were not at the court.
Yes, no, I wasn't at the court. I just heard from, I think it was the head of our security, our farm, what do they call it, farm,
Protection
protection,
services.
that's
Okay.
right. Because he was the one that got the tip off that she had the camera, and he attended the court.
Thank you very much. Any questions arising from my questions? Thank you. Mr. Kas- Thank you very much. Thank you, siyabonga baba. Inkantolo iyabonga ukufika
Sibongile
apha.
kakhulu pa.
Enkosi.
Pa, dankie.
This is Mr. Gabriel Krause, who will be testifying tomorrow. So, my Lord, there are no further witnesses for today. I've spoken to my learned friend. We imagine that evidence of Mr. Krause will be completed tomorrow, including cross-examination and re-examination. And then the respondent will call their witnesses for the remaining Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes.
That we need to finish on the time allocated to us. And it does appear that we will finish on the time. Well, thank you very much. Then it means the court will adjourn until tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Thank you. The court shall adjourn.
Yeah.
Yes.